Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go over how I set my charts up for trading with the Order Flow Pulse add-on. We go to NQU6. This is going to be the 10-second chart for the main chart. I'm going to go ahead and click apply. We'll go ahead and let it load up. So it finished loading up. I'm going to click down at the bottom here. And what I'm going to do is come over here and then type in NQU6. And this is going to be a 1 minute. I'm going to go ahead and click apply. Go ahead and get that loaded. So the main chart is a 10-second, and then the top right is a 1 minute. Then I'm going to go over how I set everything up. So right now we have the 1 minute. And then at the bottom here, we're going to go to NQU6, and then we're going to go to a 5 minute chart. Now here's the 5 minute chart right here. As you can see, the market's kind of selling off a little bit. Uh, so let's go over the main settings. Okay, now down at the bottom, sometimes you'll see me use the order flow bar moving average fast, the order flow bar moving average slow. So you can turn those on and off. But the main thing is the settings right here. Now, there are some changes that were made. Let me drag it over to the main chart. This is how I have mine set up. You can change it if you want, but right now I'm on a 10-second chart because this is the window. Now, if I open up on a 1 minute, it'll show the 1 minute. What I do is I just show the price line. I don't show level two data. And if you want level two data, show level two data. That's when you're using the pulse map. Show volume profile. I'm not doing that. I'm doing that on the 5 minute, as you can see to the right. So I don't have anything checked here. Now, session, RTH, you have to make sure you have RTH for real time trading hours in order to see the bubbles and like the volume profile, the delta profile, things like that. You really need to have the RTH of its real time trading hours. Now, the show delta, I have set to delta to show. If I don't show anything, then as you can see, it kind of goes away. But I want to go ahead and at least keep the delta percentage, and the volume. I'm not going over my trading strategy. I'm just going over how I set my charts up. Now, at the bottom, I show on the bottom. If you want to show on both, that's going to show the delta underneath the candle as well as everything down below. So you just click apply, and now everything shows up here. That's how I have the 10-second chart set up. Now, here's the main part of it. The delta persistence, I'm not going to enable that. Okay. And the big trades right here, I have one order and I have it set to 500. I have it set to really high because I really don't want to see any one single order contracts on the 10-second. Sometimes if I do, then I'll put like maybe like 10 or 20. That's for the NQ because the NQ is kind of thinly traded. Now, the stacked imbalance, the imbalance ratio is set to 4 and the levels is set to 2. The imbalance ratio of 4. So, in order to show a stacked imbalance area, it needs to be 4 times more buyers than sellers or sellers than buyers. Okay. And levels of 2. It at least has to have 2 levels. Now, show 2+ zones. That is if you're looking to only show 2+ zones and no single zones. The minimum zone per ticks is set to 12. The reason I do that is because it has to have 3 points of stacked and balanced levels. Now, I found that to be very good for the 10-second in the type of market that we're in right now. We're in like Trump and Iran or at it. So I've found this to be very useful for minimum zone ticks of 12. Okay. That gives me pretty strong signals. And then I just click apply. Now, as you can see, if we can scroll back here, I don't know if we're going to get any zones, probably not. Uh, but that's how I have mine set up for the 10-second. Here, I'll just set this to something pretty low. Uh, let's just set it to 8 and see if we get anything. Uh, no. Yeah, this is after hours, so let's just set this back to 12. During market hours, it's really going to show. So let's set that back to 12. The tick merge I have set to 4. And the reason I have it set to 4 is because I don't want to show every single tick. I, as far as every single level, like quarter, half, three quarters, whole. I want to take like quarter, half, three quarters, and whole. I want to take 4 levels of the NQ and merge that data together. Okay, that's how I have it set up because you're trading a thinly traded market, and when you merge 4 levels together into one whole point, so now you have each level is one whole point. Now, level 2 data, that's only for the pulse map. So, but normally I have that set to like 5 and resting orders of 10. Okay. So let's go ahead and click apply. Now, let me explain what I'm talking about with the order flow prints as far as like tick levels. Okay. So each row right here, each row, this right here is one whole point of data. Okay. So that 22 buy was for one whole point. And the reason I do this is because, well, the NQ is thinly traded and s- order flow and stacked imbalances need some, uh, a good amount of data or volume data to be able to be useful, in other words. Okay, it really needs to have that so it can be useful. Let's see if we can't at least get, let's see, zones of 6. I don't think we're going to get anything. No, let's just put it back to 12. I really can't do this during market hours. That's the problem. Let's just set the zone ticks to 12. Okay. So basically, what this is, it's going to show, let's say right here, let's take this candle for instance. We have 1, 2, 3. It's going to show 3 levels, 4 ticks. So this whole area would have to be a stacked and balanced area. Okay. Because I'm tick merging it to 4 ticks to equal one whole point. So each row would be 1 point. So that's 3. 3 times 4 is 12. That's where I get this number right here. 12. Minimum zones, ticks, 12. So that's how I have my main chart, the 10-second chart, set up. Let's go over to the 1 minute right here. Here is the 1 minute. Now, how I like to do this is at least show the slow moving average. So anything below that, I am going to go ahead and look for shorts. Anything above it, I'm going to look for longs. Okay. So let's see what I have set for this. Show price line. That's it. I'm not showing anything. I'm not showing volume, delta, large volume profile, none of that. Session, RTH, real time trading hours. I need to have that set. The delta percentage, I have this set to none. If you want to show it, you have to set it to either candle, both, and then the delta and percentage and volume will show up. Now, if you set just the candle, then and you click apply, then only the delta is going to show. That's just the delta for the candle. And if you choose both, that's going to show you the delta, the percent, and the volume. So it goes delta, percent, volume, and it's going to show you the delta on the candle. Okay, I really don't need that. So I just set it to none. Now on the 1 minute, I have the bubble mode set to aggregated. Not one order, but I have it set to aggregated. That's large volume of 200. So that's 200 contracts within 100 milliseconds. It will show a bubble. And here's the thing: if we're in real time trading hours, let's say it's 9:30, market opens up, and you have this set to overnight, and you don't see anything, it's because the session is set to overnight. You need to set this to real time trading hours. I wouldn't even care about the bubbles on overnight session. It actually is not useful. It's only useful during market hours. That's just my personal opinion. I have this set to aggregated, so it aggregates all of the volume, and then it has large volume 200. Now you'll see a number up at the top. That is one single order contract. So if you hear me on stream, that's what I talk about. Now the imbalance ratio is set to 4 and the levels is set to 2. Minimum zones is set to 12. I have the same thing set for the 1 minute. If we set this to 8, then I don't know if we're going to get anything. Probably not. It's after hours. There we go. Okay. So this zone right here had to be at least 2 ticks for it to be to show up as a sell. It had to be at least 2 ticks. Okay, this right here, this buy imbalance had to be two points. I'm sorry, it had to be 2 points, which is basically 8 ticks for it to show an imbalance area. Minimum zone ticks 4. There's 4 ticks in 1 point. So let's reset that to 12. Okay, then it actually showed up. Okay, so that's how I have the 1 minute set up. And if we scroll down here, I'm actually setting 4% imbalance, levels of 2, minimum zone of 12. Tick merge. You don't have to tick merge it if you're just looking at it like this. I tick merge it to 4 just because of the stacked imbalances. I like to know if there is any on the 1 minute. Okay. Volume profile, tick merge. I'm not showing any volume profile. We'll go over that on the 5 minute. This right here is level 2 data. This is just for level 2 data. I'm not doing any level 2 data. At the bottom right, this is the 5 minute. Some of my streams, you'll see the heat map, the pulse map. I have that up there. So let's go over the 5 minute. This is the 5 minute chart. Okay. And what I have here, show price line, show volume profile, and show delta profile. Okay. I don't show the large volume profile, show delta persistent signals. I'm not doing that anymore just because this is just a different market regime right now. Once it goes back to normal market conditions, I'll probably go back into delta persistent scalping. Basically, what that is it has to have high delta and it has to be ticking up twice and never tick down once. So it has to tick up and the delta has to be high. It says basically delta scalping and going with the momentum, but this market has been quite kind of volatile, so it's not that useful. I don't show any numbers down there. You can show down at the bottom if you want to show the delta percent or volume. And as far as delta persistence, don't worry about that. And the bubble mode is aggregated 200. I normally try to keep the 1 minute and the 5 minute the same as far as the mode and the large volume. That's aggregated. That's 200. Again, if you don't see any bubbles, check to make sure that this is set to RTH, real-time trading hours. If you still don't see any bubbles, what you can do is you can take this and set this to 10 or 20, and you should see little tiny bubbles show up. Then you know it's working. Then you can set it up to like 50, 100, 150, 200, whatever you want. Stacked imbalance is still set to 4. 4 times more buyers and sellers or sellers and buyers, and levels of 2. That's for the 5 minute, okay? And minimum zone I have set to 8. We can set that to 12 as well. Tick merge, again, I tick merge it to 4, even a 5 minute. Why? Because I want to know the stacked imbalances, okay? You probably don't have to do it, but I'll do it. You really need to do it for your main chart for like a 32 range bar or your 10-second chart or the 1 minute. It really should be tick merged because you'll get better quality signals. Now the level 2 data, again, I'm not showing the pulse map, but I have it set to 5, resting orders 30. But this is on 5 minutes, so that really doesn't matter. And that is how I have my charts set up. Okay. It's It can be confusing if you don't understand order flow. There is a video out there. I'll try to link it in the description. It's about a 5 minute video that shows you like 5 minutes to understand order flow. That's just to get your head wrapped around it. And then if you follow me on stream, don't expect to learn this overnight. It's something that's going to take a while, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually pretty nice and you can start reading the market. So when you see me like get into a trade and then I say, "Oh, I don't like this, I'm cutting it," and then I cut it, and then I explain why. That's because I saw something in the footprint right here. Okay, possibly we ran up and then I saw a bunch of large sellers, or I saw large buyers like 50, 60, 70 contracts, and they're not able to break through, and it just sits there and keeps ticking up, and it's not able to break through. Then I'm thinking, okay, there's an iceberg sell order, and it's just getting absorbed, and then we just push right back down. Okay, things like that. It's gonna take time to learn. But this is how I have my chart set up. This is the settings on the chart. Main thing is make sure the session is RTH, real time trading hours, for the bubbles to show up. Okay. And then you can either show the level 2 data, you have to have this ticked. For like the live pulse right here, if you have live pulse, you're going to have to show price line and show level 2 data. Live pulse, if you have a live pulse map, it's going to show, and then you can just go from there. Uh, Make sure you have RTH, show the delta, explain that. Delta persistence, that's a whole new video I need to teach on a trading strategy when we get back into doing that. The bubble mode, again, one order. If you want one order, you got to go 30. Okay, if you want aggregated, that really doesn't matter for the live pulse. I need to redo the settings once I have time, find time to do that. Uh, I'll redo the settings and make it a lot better, more intuitive. A little bit easier to read. And stacked and bounce areas, 4 and 2. That should be 2. This is live pulse map, so none of that really matters. Okay, I do tick merge it. The live pulse is actually tick merged to 4. Okay, because I want to know what the tick levels are. Okay. This is how I have my chart set up. I usually go over the settings in the morning. So that's all I have. I just wanted to go over how I set my charts up. Thank you very much. Bye.